The wheels are off. Manchester City are in a free fall. There's a new sheriff in town. His name is Arne Slot. Liverpool are top of the English Premier League. Can they say this true? Can they get to the finish line before the other 19 teams? That is the $1 million question posed to Arne Slot. With that, I welcome you to another exciting edition of Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. It promises to be an exciting time on set today. We have a lot to unpack on the show today. In Spain, all is not well with Barcelona. Real Madrid are a point behind them with a game in hand. While in the Clasica, that's in the Bundesliga, it ended 1-1 Dortmund and Bayern Munich. All of this and so much more we will unpack on today's edition. Of course, I'm not alone in the studio. I have Abby David with me. But before I bring David on set, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll get the ball rolling. Welcome back. This is Sports Pizza. My name, of course, is Edwin Onyebolise, and with me on set is Abby David. David, what's up? How you doing?
Edwin, pleasure to be here as always to be doing this with you. One of my prayer points that I've tabled now is how make, the outcome of 22 men running on the football field stop affecting my mood. I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. I think when Arsenal were in their slump, I was not feeling too good. And now Arsenal are back, and I'm officially back as well.
All right. We'll get to Arsenal shortly. Yeah. Let's start with the big game at Anfield. Liverpool versus Manchester City ended 2-0. David, just how good were Liverpool on the day?
I mean, the result was not a surprise for me. The performance was not a surprise. They did what I expected them to do, go at Manchester City and just, they had very little to lose because they went into that game with the points advantage they had, and they just needed to get a good result. I think they exposed Man City for all the flaws we have seen. If there was anything that was going to make Man City look as exposed as is Liverpool with how they've been this season, and I think they were. What Slot is doing, the slot machine is rolling on. And Man City fell victim to it. They've
played 20 games in all competitions this season. They've won 18 of those 20 games, unbeaten. In fact, a 100% record in the UEFA Champions League. They are currently 9 points ahead of Arsenal and, of course, 11 points ahead of defending champions Manchester City. What has he done right that has seen his team blitz their way to the top of both the Premier League and the Champions League?
I mean, when Arne Slot came in, there was a lot of talk of how was he going to live up to the expectation of, Jurgen Klopp and everything. But I think he came in and fundamentally he did key things. He looked at the players he had in his squad and he felt, I can make the best out of it. There was talk of, we don't have a number 6 ultra last season. How are we going to deal with it? He tried to get the options he couldn't get, and he stopped with what he had. But if you watch Ryan Gravenberch this season, that's an example of what a coach has done to tweak. At the beginning of the season, he was playing with McAllister as double pivot, and then McAllister now has the freedom. Gravenberch confidence, and even the tactics have helped him. He's now holding down his own. And also, you look at the way they play. We knew clubs seem to be an ultra pressing team. Slot's team is also a pressing team, but they don't press as the way clubs team press. They're not as aggressive. The way they press is also different. And also in their build-up, they are not as fast as clubs team is. So there's a lot of differences in how they play. Similarities, but major differences as well.
There were questions about unrest in the Liverpool camp in the build-up to that game. The whole Salah contract issue. There was a Virgil van Dijk conversation and Trent Alexander-Arnold. I thought Virgil van Dijk was imperious on the day. He was fantastic. Of course, one of the best defenders in the world on his day. Now, you look at these 3 players that I've mentioned. Is it a priority to keep all 3?
Yeah, I think it's a priority for them to keep all 3. I don't know how Liverpool were able to get themselves in a situation where 3 of their key players are, in the last few periods of their contract, but it's imperative they keep them. It's going to take a financial outlay, but they need to do it because you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, 26 years old, he's entering the prime of his career, a proper scout. I've been touted as a future captain for the team. Central to how the team play. Look at Virgil van Dijk. Taking away from that defense, look at what they have. They don't really have as much. To replace a player of that stature, that magnitude, is going to take even more than what it's going to take to keep him. And then Salah, what more is left to be said about him? One of the best players in the world, a Premier League legend. How do you replace somebody like that? Not just getting a younger player, someone who can, but how do you get the productivity and everything, and how it's going to settle? So I think they need to keep all 3.
All right, let's do Manchester City, David. You just highlighted how impressive Liverpool are. Just how bad is Pep Guardiola's Manchester City?
I mean, it's their 6s and 7 confusion. I think a testament to how much they've fallen is in back-to-back games in the Premier League against Spurs and against Liverpool. He has played Rico Lewis as a central midfielder, and the boy has been overrun, 20-year-old, and you expect him to live up to the expectation. You know, if you had someone like Rodri holding his hands, or maybe some of the guys who are supposed to hold his hands are not there, asking him to do that task, it looked lost completely in that game. And then you look all over the field. The second goal, the penalty that Salah scored, what resulted in that penalty was a shambolic show of shame. Ruben Diaz got to that ball before Luis Diaz, and what the decision making to let Diaz get the ball ahead of him and get it to the ball, there was just a lot of mistakes. You've seen City these past few years; they've been imperious, looked almost unshakable, invincible, and now they look completely flustered. Mistakes all over the field, everywhere, and that's something we are not used to seeing. That's a sign of how much they are crumbling in real time. Is
this a coaching problem, or the fact that players are out of form and you bring in 1 or 2 injuries? What exactly is the problem?
So I think there's a mixture of a lot of this in it. There's a coaching problem. Guardiola sticking to what he thinks is his best style of play, and considering the players that he has. I mentioned Rico Lewis playing as a central midfielder. I expected Matheus Nunes to start in that position, and maybe Rico Lewis play somewhere, at least have somebody with experience and the ability to be able to play that position. He stuck with it and he did not work. He backfired completely. And then look at the players they have as well. Gone were the days of having the likes of Sterling, likes of Riyad Mahrez as wingers who could produce. Now they have Jeremy Doku and Savino who are, you can count more dance steps and actual creativity that they produce. And that's a big problem. So it's a combination of the tactics. Guardiola has refused to change some things that are obvious for us to see. And then you now see the players that they have are not living up to the expectations as well.
Are they out of the title race?
For any other team, I would have going through what they are going through now. It's completely out of the title race. But because it's Manchester City and Guardiola, you probably put them in the race. Would they win the title? I don't think so. But they will put up a fight. I still expect them to respond. But they are not going to win the title.
You know, I think they are out of the title race. Let's go back to 2019-2020 season. A lot similar.
Yeah. Injuries,
loss of form, and all of that. And they ended, I think, 18 points behind. Guess who won the league title that season? Liverpool. So, again, there are a lot of underlying issues with Manchester City. I think some players are past their best, especially in midfield. Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan. Even Kevin De Bruyne. I cannot guarantee you 90 minutes of consecutive games. So, you add that to, of course, the absence of Rodri and some key players, and the lack of goal threats in attack. All of these, I think, are issues that cannot be dealt with over the next 25 or 26 games. But hey, fingers crossed, like you said, it is Manchester City and, of course, Pep Guardiola. But for now, Liverpool fans are in high heavens.
Absolutely.
And who can stop them? Is it Arsenal who are on a resurgence, David?
I think who can stop Liverpool right now? I think it's Liverpool that can. They are the only ones who can stop themselves if they, there are still going to be tricky tests ahead of this season. If it was possible to win the league by November or December, you will feel they won the league. But because there's still more months to go, we are yet to even reach the halfway stage of the season. So you think they will still have some stumbling, how they will deal with it. But for Arsenal just have to do what they need to do. Tunnel vision, focus on only their own result. Fine, Arteta said they've gotten back to their groove. Now, can they maintain this groove and try to keep winning their matches? Maybe when Liverpool drop points, if they can, you look at us now. They came into this year January and they went on a run of 18 games, and where they didn't lose. So you feel if they can go on a similar run like that, when Liverpool maybe drop points, it can help them to close the gap. But that gap is really sizable at this point.
Is Martin Odegaard the best midfielder in the Premier League when everyone is fit?
Yeah, I think so. I think stylistically, I think he is. And also what he brings to the team. He's not, if you look at the assist numbers and all, he doesn't really rack up highly. But when you look at what he does, the way he plays, the way he gets the ball and then his control. And there's one thing that Odegaard does that I've not seen many players do. When he gets the ball, he makes it look like, all these slow motion movies we watch where the player stops and time seems to slow down. He just makes things effortless. And that's why I think he's one of the best in the Premier League.
Rodri fit, KDB fit, Bruno Fernandes fit. Are you saying Odegaard is the best midfielder in the Premier League?
I think Rodri and Odegaard, they don't play similar positions. I cannot put them in the same conversation. But for me, I'll pick him over Bruno Fernandes. De Bruyne, currently, I'll still pick Odegaard ahead of him.
All right, for Chelsea, they look a threat with Enzo Maresca's men, mid-light work of Aston Villa. Are they in a title challenge?
Yes. At the beginning of the season, I didn't want to give them much of a chance of winning a title race. I felt the objective was tough. But I think because take away the fact that it's Chelsea, the performances that they're actually If you look at them and Arsenal, who are supposedly leading the title race, they have similar statistics at this point. You see the same number of wins, same number of draws, same number of losses, goals scored, goals conceded. So everything is balanced. But it's just because it's Chelsea, you feel if those tests come, but I'm now making it, it's now hypothetical. But they seem to pass every test that has come their way so far. But against the big teams that we've seen them against, they've not really done very well. Maybe that's where they will come on top. But against the smaller teams, they seem to have raised their level against them.
And for Manchester United, the new boss in town, Ruben Amorim, I've seen some patterns, some identity with this Manchester United team that we didn't see under Erik ten Hag and his predecessors. But you get a feeling that there's something on the cusp for Manchester United with respect to Ruben Amorim.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything points to Ruben Amorim actually doing a good job. I think he says the right things and he's also actually doing the right things. I like the fact that he keeps telling them, these press conferences, that it's about the process we want to get to. I'm going to stick to how we're going to get the result. We're not just about getting the result, how we're going to get the results. You look at some of the changes he has made and some of the things he has done. You see Manchester United and you see there's a deliberate way they are trying to create chances. Under ten Hag, we did not know how they were going to create chances. It felt like chances just fell along the wayside. But with Amorim, there's a particular way they are playing, and it looks like the player, they are really trying to quickly grasp onto what he's trying to put.
All right, straight to the Spanish La Liga, David. Barcelona still top of the table, but Real Madrid are just a point behind them with a game in hand. They've dropped 8 points from a possible 9, 3 games winless run, 2 losses, 1 draw. Here's my opinion. Here's what I think. I think this is Barcelona's level. They overshot expectation in the early weeks of the season, and now they've regressed to the mean. I don't know if you agree with me.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree 100%. I think when you look at players like Rafinha, what Rafinha did at the beginning of the season was not the Rafinha's level. That even at Leeds, where he had his best form, that was not the level. When you look at somebody like Yamal beside him, I think that's what made Rafinha to raise his levels. Lewandowski is 36, going on 37 now. It looks like the levels are not going to be as much. He's a goal scorer as well, but the body cannot give as much. Then you look at also the injuries they've had in defense. When I saw the defense, you have Pau Kubasi, a 17-year-old, and then Inigo Martinez has to play a high line. That's somebody who has never had much of pace. You're asking him to play a high line. I think they did well to show whether that storm at the beginning, but now it's beginning to tell. Unless those reinforcements come in the likes of their centre backs who are missing. They are missing their first choice centre back pairing. I think they really need to just steady this storm, but I don't know how much they will fall before things get better for them.
The Barcelona's famed highline was once again brought under the test.
Yeah.
Are we making too much of it? Are we over-exaggerating the importance of that highline, or it's really a cause for concern? Because you watch Las Palmas' winning goal, it came off profiting from the highline.
Yeah.
You also watch the opener, former boy, Sandro Ramirez. It came off profiting from space left by the highline.
Yeah, I don't think we are making too much of it. I think it's evident for us to see. We've seen it how they've done. I think even Flick has also made some reference to that this is how they want to play this season. And I think teams have looked at it. If they had their first choice centre backs, like I mentioned earlier, probably it would have been better. But when you look at the pairing they have now, it looks like it's a recipe for disaster. Teams are now beginning to get more joy from it. And I think unless they find a way around it, I think there's more joy for teams to have.
And there's more joy for Real Madrid, who are just the points behind. Barcelona, despite the criticisms, the loss in the El Clasico, Kylian Mbappe, injuries, Carlo Ancelotti, in this moment, is a miracle worker, David.
Yeah, absolutely. Last season, what he did was the absolute height of miracles that you could see in football. And he's having almost similar situation. But one thing I like about Ancelotti is he's not a manager who comes out in the press and complain. He just wants to get the job done. And that's one thing that has defined him over the course of his career, his calmness and his calm disposition. And that's what he has done. They have defensive issues, and what did he do? He sticks Valverde at right back, and it doesn't seem like there's a problem. The centre back pairing is not, is not as strong as it, but they still get the job done. Put players where they just get the results. That's what I think has made him one of the best managers in the world.
Finally, David, from the Spanish La Liga, just like I asked earlier about Chelsea, with respect to the Premier League title, do you think Atletico Madrid are in a title challenge? Nobody expected them to be this close to the top. They are 2 points behind Barcelona, but can they sustain it? Do you think they are in a title challenge?
Yes, I think they're in a title challenge. When you look at the makeup of this, there's a reason why at the beginning of the season, when they were having some inconsistent results, people were, clamoring for something different. Like, you can't have this level of investment in the squad, and the team was shaped up for a title challenge. They have players, reinforcements everywhere. You look at their squad in defense, in midfield, everywhere is stacked, and you expected them to consistent results, and they will continually challenge. And I think everything is beginning to gel for Simeone. Now you look at the results they've been getting consistently. They are beginning to score goals, and it's clicking now. Solot and Julian Alvarez are clicking. Griezmann is doing what he knows how to do. But the midfield is as solid as it can be. There's options all around, and in defense as well. Brought in experienced players, the likes of Clement Lenglet, and there's options for them. I think there's a title challenge brewing for them.
All right, it's been a fantastic few weeks in the Spanish La Liga, but at this point we need to go on a short break. When we return, there's more on the other side of the show. Sports Pizza, don't go nowhere. Welcome back. I'm sure you're enjoying every bit of this show. Like I always brag, we give you nothing but the absolute best from the world of sports. David, straight up to the Classica. Yeah. Dortmund won, Bayern Munich won. Once again, there are question marks about companies' ability to grind out results against tough opponents.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Classica is one game where form doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you are playing. You get into that game and something different comes up. I think company, for a long period in that game, you look at how they played and they did not approach it as you'd have expected. Fine, you say the issue with the injury to Kane affected them, but I think with the quality of squad they have and without Dortmund having floundering this year, expected them to give more. And I think it's that giving more against the bigger sides. We've seen it in the Champions League. We've seen it also in the league this season. Would they be able to do enough to win the league? I think yes, but those question marks will still remain. All
right, from football, David, let's touch Formula One, the penultimate race of the season, Qatar. Once again, it was Max Verstappen. Lando Norris was given a 10-second penalty, finished third by virtue of that seconds deduction, while Charles Leclerc went from third to second. Same Max Verstappen, but for the constructors' title, it's going down the wire, the final race in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, this weekend was underlined by a lot of penalties. We saw penalties more than we've ever seen. The FIA really decided to put their foot down a lot of issues that happened over the course of this weekend. But I think for Lando Norris and for the McLaren team, I think it was what I feared when they lost the race at Brazil and they lost the title, the driver's title officially over. I felt they would just lose some steam, and we see that playing out over the course of the final race of the season. I don't know how much they can give, but I think they will do just enough to win the constructor title and then build on from there for next season.
And in tennis, yet another controversy, David.
Yeah.
Igor Swiatek, the latest to fail a doping test, was kept under wraps, finally given a month suspension. But within the period where she failed the test, she was allowed to compete. Now, the test was done in an out-of-competition setting. But she was allowed to play. Now there's more questions about the integrity of tennis.
Yeah, absolutely. And it screams one phrase, double standards. It seems like people say it, there's been conspiracy theories about it. But when you see incidents like this, it gives you, more credence to the fact that why do issues like this happen? You look at different strokes for different folks. And I don't know what the tennis and integrity agency needs to be called to question at this point in time. Their integrity is at stake.
And straight up to the MPFL, David, Ikorodu City, third on the log. They trashed Aqua United 4-1. I don't want to get too excited. I know it's a Lagos team. I could have a bit of soft spot for them, bias for them. But objectively, can Ikorodu City make the top 4 come the end of the season?
Oh, I think so. And you look at the way they get their results. The 4-1 victory against Aqua United, that's a result where you face a team that is established in the MPFA, a former champion, and then you deliver a performance of that magnitude. And we've seen it over the course of their last week performances. They seem to turn the corner, and then they've hit first gear, second gear, and now everything seems to be clicking for them. And for this reason, I think they can do enough to finish in the top 4.
All right, from one Southwest club to another Southwest club, Remo Stars lost to Niger Tornadoes 2-1. There are more question marks for Daniel Ogumodede's team, David.
Yeah, and I don't understand what has really happened with the team. The players are still basically more or less the same, and you expect with 2 years of experience in the league with title challenges, expect this season would have been the season for consolidation, but they seem to have just...
Have they been stretched to the limit?
I think so. I think so. They, at the beginning of the season, they had the continental push, which they faltered at, but that should not be the major reason for the exit. I think they've pushed more than they can. I don't think there was enough investment in the squad. This season, more experience. They did it the first 2 seasons. They tried to get some experienced players in the squad, but this season they relaxed on their recruitment and they felt they have enough experience in the league to challenge. But I think things are beginning to turn south for them.
All right, have a quick look at match day 16 fixtures. You have Bayelsa United versus Ikorodu City. Rangers are up against Rivers United in a highly anticipated clash. Akwa United hosts Bendel Insurance. Nasarawa are up against Lobby Stars. Sunshine Stars host Shooting Stars. Plateau United are up against Heartland Football Club. Remo Stars will look to get back to winning ways against El Kanemi Warriors. Abia Warriors are up against Niger Tornadoes. Kano Pillars host Katsina United, while Accra United are up against Enyimba. And in the table, Rivers United are top with 29 points. Remo Stars are second, 26 points. Ikorodu City are third with 24 points. And the Rangers complete the top 4 with 23 points. However, Enyimba are down 8 but have about 3 outstanding games due to their commitment in the continent. And talking about Enyimba, they lost to Al Mazri in their first game in the CAF Confederations Cup group stage.
Yeah, and I think it's reasons like this that make me wonder why you ask a team who's on the continent to miss their domestic fixtures, because you lose both ways. Now they have 3 outstanding games which they will need to find a way to play at the end of the day, and then they go on the continent and still lose. They lost away from Egypt. I was not expecting a different result. If you look at the odds before that game, they were marginal underdogs in that game. And I think if Enyimba, our strongest team on the continent, cannot deliver decent results, I think Nigeria as a whole, generally, our club football needs to be called to question. All
right, the bottom 4, you have Plateau United, Bendel Insurance, Akwa United, and Nasarawa rooted to the bottom of the table. A quick one, the Falcons lost to France 2-1. It was a good friendly game. It was a good game, a good run out for the girls. Should we read too much into the results?
No, I don't think so. Positive is we got our first goal against them in 3 games, but the French team, we know how strong they are on the world stage. But I think we need friendlies like this, more of this, to get our players in tune. We didn't play with most of our usual suspects, like the captain Rashida Tajibaji, Asisa Toshola as well. So it's a new dispensation. But I'm happy to see Ashley Plumter back, my crush in the Super Falcons. She's back, and I'm happy to see her. But we have at least something to build on. With more friendlies like this, and the team will get better in preparation for next year's AWAFCON.
I will wrap up the show with Nigerian players doing their stuff abroad. David, who do you have for us?
Let me start from the man whose name is on everyone's lip, Tora Ukodare. No Nigerian has scored more goals than him in all of Europe. He has 10 goals in the Belgian Jupiler League. It's funny how Genk fans are quickly forgetting about their former Nigerian hero, Paul Onuachu. Now they are talking about Tolu, the name on their lips. In England, we have Alex Iwobi and Calvin Bassey, who helped the Fulham team, 10-man Fulham team, to a 1-1 draw against Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham Hotspur, we see them, they steal from the rich and give to the poor. They are the Peter Pan of the EPL, Robin Hood of the EPL. And also Frank Oyeka, one player I'm happy for. At the beginning of the transfer window, I talked about he needs to leave Brentford to get consistent run of games. Now he's a consistent player for Augsburg, and they got a 1-0 victory over the course of the weekend in the Bundesliga. Fantastic one for these Nigerian players.
All right, that's the much we can take on the show today. I'm sure you've enjoyed every bit of it. If you want more, you can follow us on our social media platforms. The handles are showing on your screen. We leave you with our video for the week. Do enjoy it until we come your way same time next week. David, it's a pleasure always having you on set.
I mean, Edwin, the pleasure is always all mine. Thank you for having me. From David, it's goodbye.
And from Edwin Onyebolise, it is au revoir.